If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. I keep making videos where I say that eventually the National Forest and the BLMs, the Bureau of Land Management, is going to start either shutting down the nomadic lifestyle or making us pay for the free campsites and the dispersed camping, even in the BLMs. Well, this morning I read an extensive article on an event called the Burning Man. Basically a party that happens once a year out in the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and each year it keeps growing and growing and growing. Last year, 80,000 people showed up. This event is supposed to be the ultimate discovery in freedom. You know, they can run around out there without their clothes on, even though the Bureau of Land Management has laws against that. You're not allowed to do that. You have to think about for a minute what 80,000 people mean. 80,000 people in a small area, small town, requires infrastructure. One of the issues they have is public health issues. And what that means is people go out to these BLMs, and of course there's no bathrooms, I suppose, or limited bathrooms, so people go to the bathroom on the ground. And I kind of know what they're talking about. I mean, right here in this campground, you know, there's like 4 camp spots. And last night, Carolyn and I were sitting in lawn chairs and we got this, you know, smell of urine. Why are we getting a smell of urine? There is a bathroom, a privy, just 100 yards away. Infrastructure means you got to have, you know, health services, you got to have sewage, you got to have plumbing, you have to have a fire department, ambulances, law enforcement, all these things. Well, so now you got 80,000 people attending the BLM without any infrastructure. What I'm going to try to do here is make a comparison between this report and what I see happening to the nomadic lifestyle. The nomadic lifestyle keeps growing and growing and growing. And I suspect it's going to grow by 1 million people each year. It may even multiply, maybe like 1 million people next year, and the year after that, 1.2 million, then you know, so it may be exponential growth. Now, a lot of people say, no, that's not going to happen because each year people are going to quit this lifestyle while others join. Well, if I use the argument with the Burning Man, the Burning Man grows each year. It gets bigger and bigger. The more it's advertised, the more people see the romantic aspects of it, the more people go. There's an event that goes on each year that a YouTuber hosts. And from my understanding, just a few years ago, it was like 700 people showed up to it. Last year, they suspected almost 10,000 people came to it. Going back to the Burning Man, the Bureau of Land Management has decided to put its foot down with the Burning Man and say, okay, you're going to have to help support this. Ambulances and medical. There's apparently not a hospital real close by to the Burning Man event. So anytime someone gets sick, they have to transport them, I think 100 or 150 miles away. So that means the town has to support themselves plus 80,000 people. Law enforcement. I found this one very interesting. Law enforcement. You have to understand that law enforcement in the BLM and the natural forest, their job really is to, you know, make sure nobody's tearing this stuff up. Make sure that I'm not out here, you know, causing campfires and littering. You know, they may have one officer patrolling 600,000 acres. So you put 80,000 people into an area like this and expect law enforcement to just immediately be able to cope with it. Well, I hear it all the time on YouTube. People say, well, I don't need law enforcement. They can leave me alone. I'm out here. I'm supposed to be free. The problem with that is as soon as you are injured or need help or someone has assaulted you, you'll be just like everybody else and you'll call the police. And that's what's happening out in the Burning Man. They go out, they expect to be free, and then someone is attacked, and then they have to call the law enforcement to deal with that. So they have to go take them to the hospital and get examined to determine if there's any DNA that they can retrieve from this attacked female, for example. They're having to hire law enforcement from other towns and other counties to help support this event. So what they try to do is they try to bring in 75 extra officers. So what the BLM is suggesting is that now the Burning Man needs to hire their own security force to come out and deal with this. So it's not a burden on the local residents to hire 75 people to come out and deal with this. Well, of course, the Burning Man doesn't want to do it because they can't afford it, is what they said. And so they're throwing out, constitutional rights. Well, that would be an illegal search and seizure if we hired our own security guards. Well, they're just using it as an excuse so they can continue to come out here and have a big party at everybody else's expense. They expect freedom to be free. Freedom isn't free. If you want to come out here and you want to utilize the services that are provided, so you come out here, you want to party, and all of a sudden you're hurt or attacked or a fire happens, your camper burns down, you call the fire department, then they want the government to come out and bail them out. But at whose expense? When you have a department, say the Bureau of Land Management, or like here in this national forest, the department is not that big. I mean, what do they might have 50, 100 employees to deal with wildfires, people who break the 2-week limit rule. But now we're asking these 40 or 50 people to establish a complete infrastructure without any extra resources or help. Now, this is another one, and this one really does aggravate me because I saw it on YouTube last year during that YouTube hosted event with 10,000 people. Not the Burning Man, but the other one. Is trash. They took it over to the long-term visitor area and dumped it into their dumpsters. Well, then it got overfilled there, so they just started throwing it on the ground. Well, then the trash service says, we're not picking that up. Somebody's gonna have to come out and pick all that trash up on the ground before we take the trash out. So volunteers, we saw YouTube videos on it, volunteers had to come out and clean it up at their own expense. So here again, the local people had to clean this up while, everybody else is partying up and having a great time. In the nomadic community, as it grows and grows, the infrastructure is not going to be able to support this kind of thing. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.